everybody, and welcome back to the Blu-ray Hunter. I'm the Blu-ray Hunter, Jonathan Moody, and we're going to be talking about my top 10 favorite Judd Apatow produced movies that's in my collection. That's in that I own. There probably is some that I don't own. There's maybe a couple that I don't own, but I own pretty much all of the ones he's produced and he's directed a bunch of them too. So to start off with is my number 10 movie, and that is Pop Star, Never Stop Stoppin', which is about Andy Samberg, and it's the Lonely Island guys, and they are in a group, and and he's what is it? His name is Connor for real, and some of these have some of the best songs, and like I have a bunch of the songs in a song in a I have a bunch of the songs and I love them. I think the songs are hilarious. And this movie is just so funny. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. I think you guys will get a kick out of it. And it's my number 10. So that just goes to show you how many are going to be on there and how much I love every single one of these. Like I there's not one in this collection that I'm like, that's why I put it in the top or whatever. No. So next is number 9 is Superbad. And this is probably one of my least watched movies next to maybe Popstar. I haven't watched it as much as the other ones, but I do still love this movie. I love that this was written by Seth and Evan, who use their real names in the story, and it's based on their childhood experiences growing up. And in the 90s, Seth Rogen is my age or so, and so like I think Evan is too, and so it is just wonderful to sort of see. It's directed by Greg Motello. Motola. I think is how you say his name. Sorry, Greg. Um, but he did a great job with this movie. It's so funny. It's got some great stuff in it. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. I don't know why you haven't seen it because it's pretty famous. I mean, Pop Stars maybe not as famous, but uh, that one is famous. Another famous movie that I love, it even got a sequel. I didn't like the sequel nearly as much, but it is Neighbors, starring Seth Rogen once again and Rose Byrne. So there's gonna be a lot of Seth Rogen movies, by the way, because he's worked with Judd Apatow so freaking much. And this was God, who's this written by? So this was directed by Nicholas Stoller, and it was produced by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. So they came back, and it was written by Andrew J. Cohen and Brendan O'Brien. And it is so funny. There's a few scenes that I have laughed so hard I was crying because I was laughing so hard at this movie. Um, there are parts where it's not as funny or maybe the jokes don't land as much. The other stuff is just so freaking funny that that blows everything else out of the water. It is such a great movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely highly recommend it. So that's number 8. Number 7 is Anchorman, the Legend of Ron Burgundy. Um, I quote this movie all the time. Some of my favorite stuff is with Steve Carell. The other stuff's with Will Ferrell, where he's in talking to Paul Rudd, in a phone booth, and Jack Black had kicked his dog into the water, and he's like, "The main man on the motorcycle kicked Baxter," and then he's like, they're like, where are you? It's like, I'm in a glass case of emotion. And I say that stuff sometimes when people ask me stuff like that. How are you doing? I'm in a glass case of emotion. It's just so funny. It's such a great quoted movie. And Will Ferrell, one of Will Ferrell's best, one of them. And there'll be another one, hint hint, coming up. Not now, but soon. So there you go. Will Ferrell wrote it. With Adam McKay, and Adam McKay directed the film, and it's just, it's wonderful. Such a great movie. Another great movie. So number six is Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I freaking love this movie to death. Like I love, once again, quote it. I love it. I watch it all the time. I just think it's so funny. It's romantic. It's sweet. Mila Kunis has never been cuter. I don't care what she did as far as the crap because I don't get into her personal life. I don't give a crap about that. But I care about her in this movie. She did a great job. So did Kristen Bell and Jason Segel and Russell Brand. That was the first time I ever seen Russell Brand. Jonah Hill has a cameo in it, which in a second we'll be getting into this basically the spin-off of this movie in 2 seconds. But man, and what I always love about the Judd Apatow movies, period, when they produce them on, put them on Blu-ray, they do like extended and deleted cuts, the Linorama and Drunkorama stuff, gag reel, more from the crime scene, different stuff. So they have a lot of good features, especially commentary and stuff. Those are feature commentaries with the cast and crew, and those are some of my favorite because they really have a fun time rewatching and and commenting on the movie. So there you go. So the spinoff, Get Him to the Greek. This is directed by Nicholas Stoller, I believe. Uh, yeah, Nicholas Stoller directed it, wrote and directed it. Um, did he direct Forgetting Sarah Marshall as well? Yeah, so he directed. Wow. So yeah, and he did Neighbors. So he works with Judd Apatow a lot on with these guys. But so Forgetting Sarah Marshall was the first one, and Nick directed it, but Jason Segel wrote it. It was based on Jason Segel's uh girlfriends, different girlfriends, like an amalgamation of different ones, including Linda Cardellini, who he was dating, and I think he was even engaged to for a little bit. And a lot of people think that the movie 5 Year Engagement, which might also be Judd Apatow produced. I'm not sure. That was was directed by uh was it I don't know if he directed it, but I know Jason Segel wrote that. That's based on his life and stuff, and based on Linda Cardellini. And then Get Him to the Greek. Was not. It was written and directed by Nicholas Stoller, but based on I think Jason Segel was a co-story guy, and I don't think he makes a cameo at all. I know I believe that was it Kristen Bell does as Sarah Marshall. So there's like the connection there and stuff. And it's really cool. It's such a great movie. It's even though it's got P. Diddy in it, and so yeah, I don't like seeing that necessarily, and I try not to get into the personal stuff or whatever. But well, yeah, so personal stuff, but that happens. Hold on 1 second. My dog is having an issue, so I'm gonna have to pause this real quick. All right, I'm back. Sorry. So, Get Him to the Greek, such a great movie, has some really, really funny scenes in it. All right. After that is another movie directed by Adam McKay and co-written by him and Will Ferrell, starring Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, and that is Step Brothers. And this movie is so freaking funny. If you have not seen Step Brothers, it's one of those ones also that is so laugh out loud funny that you just will just cry watching it, especially for the first time. I remember when I first watched this, I just could not stop laughing. It just was that funny. Next is this is 40, which is a sequel to or was a spinoff of a movie, that sequel spinoff kind of thing with from another movie that's about to be shown. So this is 40 stars Paul Rudd and Leslie Mann. It's got the kids, Judd Apatow's kids. Leslie Mann is Judd Apatow's wife. And they it's just everybody in it is just so fantastic, and It is so funny. This movie is like 2 hours and not a half, right? But it's like 2 hours and what did it say? No, I can't see the time, but 2 hours and 14 minutes, and it doesn't even feel like that. It goes by so quickly. You will laugh your butt off at this movie. So, um, jeez, dog is just acting up. Hold on. We're almost done. So we got two more to do. Um, but This is 40 is one of my favorites, and I love it. After that is Knocked Up. I fucking love this movie. This movie is so freaking funny. You'll if you haven't seen it, which a lot of people have seen it, so I'd imagine if you haven't, there's a reason. I love this movie. I think it's so funny, and if you read the script, there's actually things that were cut from it that are still so funny. Like this movie could have even been just, funny, added to the funny. But it is great. Uh it is Judd Apatow directed, and it's just great. I mean, I don't even know how else to describe it. It's just one of the funniest comedies you'll see in a while. But the funnier comedy to me is the number one comedy of Judd Apatow's produced movies, which he also directed, which is 40-Year-Old Virgin. I remember seeing this in the theater back in 2004 or five. I think it was five. I think it was four, actually. Um, 2005. And this is when I was living out in my I was living in a garage, Sounds like I was living in a van down by the river, but I was living in a garage, and I went to the theaters to see this movie, and I freaking love this movie, and I just laughed so hard. Steve Carell is so funny, and yeah, this movie is just a very clever idea. I mean, it's just based on just an idea, like as a skit. I think he had. I think Steve Carell had this skit in mind of this guy who didn't know, who was a 40-year-old virgin who was doing poker with some guys, and they used that scene in the movie, and yeah, it's just wonderful. If you haven't seen it, once again, check all of these movies out, all of them. Like I said, there's not one movie in this collection of Judd Apatow produced or directed movies, or both. Well, obviously both. If he directed it, he produced it. So there you go. But I love this movie, stack of movies, and I highly recommend anybody checking any of those out. If you haven't heard of any of them or one or two of them, check them out. They are so funny. I laugh my butt off every single time I watch any of these movies. And just like the Adam Sandler movies that I did before, these are movies that I could watch over and over again and not get sick of. So with that, I'm gonna leave you guys. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.